Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you the project breakdown of this. Okay, welcome guys. It's been a while. Today we are going to be looking at the video a lot of you have requested for the project breakdown of the NIVEA product animation I did. Well, this project was not a client's project, it was just a personal project. I just decided to do it. So today I'm going to look at the project breakdown. So I'm going to take you through all of the scenes, everything I did. It's not going to be too detailed, but it's going to give you like a brief, like a summary of everything I did. Okay, so first of all, the first thing I did was to first and foremost create the objects, the product that we'll be using. That's the NIVEA cream product. So it's just normal geometry, nothing so special about this. Yeah. So by the time I release this video, I'll try and make it available. This products available as in the description where you can download this and try something for yourself. So the first thing I did was to create this, add the materials to it, and just a background, and also to add an HDRI. So if you don't know how to add an HDRI, you can just come here and you just add it from here. So first you have to download an HDRI from Polyhaven, for instance, and when you just come here to the world settings, you just click on where it says color, you see your environment texture, and you just select. So let me show you how it is from. So this is without, it's the environment texture, and this is with it. So just come to my HDRIs and that's it. So this is for the first, this is just for the overall, the basic things you need, the product, the background, right? So we are going to start with the first scene, scene 1. Okay, so let's have a look at these scenes. So this is the scene where it went up. So for this scene, I didn't have a way to animate it automatically, like simulate it with physics, like as in the cylinder going up and pushing the product up. So I had to hand animate it. It wasn't anything too serious. I just had to animate it myself. I didn't use a simulation, so I just animated the cylinder to move up slowly and come back down. So it moves up from 0 to about 31 frames, then it comes back down to 50. So it just gives it that it makes it look like it pushed the product up. Then for this, the product itself, so I selected everything. The reason why this box is here is because it's an empty. This will move the product. It's really easy to set up, so let me show you how to do it real quick before we get into anything else. So just select all the things you want the empty to move, and select the empty last. Hit Ctrl P and object keep transform, and that's how you do it. When that happens, you can now click the empty and move everything all together. So you don't have to click manually every single thing. Yeah, so I just animated the empty to also move up and just continue moving up, right? And for this animation, I used let me show you the graph editor. This was a constant animation. So if you open a graph editor, this is where everything, when you keyframe things on the timeline being this, when you go to the graph editor, it shows you how like the keyframes are. So if you want to make them smooth, you can come to key, come here and hit any of these. So Bezier, for instance, will make it a bit better, a bit smoother than it was before. So, but that would cause problems in my animation because it would pass through. So that's why I didn't use it. I just used the constant one for it to just move like that. Okay, so that's just for the first scene, scene 1. Also, pro tip with using Blender. Whenever you're using Blender, come here to the render properties and come to color management and always change it. It will normally be at none, and you can see how this looks very dull, looks very blunt. But if you increase the contrast to high contrast, it comes to life. That's something I always do in all my projects nowadays. I didn't know a long time ago. I just learned it recently, so I've been doing this more frequently now, and it has been boosting my renders. Okay, so that's all with scene 1. So now let's move on to scene 2. So this is the scene where this happens, right? So this is simple. First off, I created this is already parented. The objects are already parented to the empty, so I just animated the empty to move up and rotate. So to move up and rotate, that's all I did. And I animated this separately. So even though this is part of the empty, you can also animate it with its own properties. For instance, let me give you an example. If you see this can rotate on the Z, on the X, and the Y axis. This can also rotate on the Z, on the X, and the Y axis. This can also do the same thing. But sorry, what I mean is, so for instance, this one, what I did was I animated it to open, like an opening simulation, and opening like how you open a bottle, a cover. So I made it rotate on the Z-axis, on its own Z-axis, and as it was going up, I also made it rotate on the Y-axis as well, and also the X, and also made it go up. So I also animated the Z-axis as well. So that's how come we have this. So if I turn this off and just look at it through here, good. Now to make this cream, this is just a plane. So what I did was I just created a circle. I think this wasn't a circle, this was a cube, and I added some subdivisions, and I clicked. I think it's better to use this one because this one is rotated. Let me go back to the scene. Go to scene 1, show you guys. So I click this and I use proportional editing, right, to just rotate everything. So if I increase this, see how it moves. Yeah, so that's basically what I did. I first clicked on all these, rose them up individually a bit, then I just rotated it to create that cream like effect. And the material itself for the cream-like cream-like material, basically it's just a material with a bit of noise and also subsurface, right? So yeah, now let's move on to the scene 3. Good. So here's where things get really interesting. So this is the scene without, you know, the gizmos and everything else. So this is it. Just hit play for it to see. So what went into this? So first, I added something new to the background. I added the cylinder to just give it, you know, more life, you could say. Then I also duplicated the product with the empties as well. So I made 4 duplicates, so everything, so 5 in all, and I animated each of them individually. At the time, I didn't know how to use randomized transform. I didn't really think of using it, so I had to animate everything individually. But yeah, there's something you can do. You don't need to animate everything individually now. For instance, if I have a cube and let's say I duplicate it like this, okay, now I select everything. If I want to animate everything to like just rotate by themselves in different ways, I can come to objects, where it says transform, go down to randomize transform, open the tab, and here can just rotate everything. So you can actually keyframe this. So let's say I keyframe it. Oh, as well. Let's go back. Let's try again. Okay, let's say I keyframe it here, and also and move it to the last one and keyframe it. There as well. And also let me also change this a bit. Good. Now just look at that. Complete randomized transform. Yes, so that's something you can do to spice things up. So that's what I did. Okay, that's actually not what I did. That's the better way of doing what I did. So for this one, I just rotated each of them individually and keyframed all of them. And also something very important I added was focus distance. So if you look at this, you can see this is blur, this is blur, and like this is the main focus. And this gives, you know, like life to your scene. It makes everything look a bit more realistic, a bit more pleasurable to look at. So the way I did this was I went to the camera here and click the camera icon. Make sure you click on depth of field and make sure it's selected. And then there's the focus object. You can either use a focus distance focus object, but I prefer using the focus object because that's why I'm able to control it better. It's more efficient for me. So I parented it to this empty, which is empty3. So let me look for empty3. That should be yeah. So that's it. So this is the parent object. So I parented it to that for the camera to look at that, to focus on that. So I just adjusted the setting. So this is the f-stop, makes it the blur more, it decreases it. Yes. And so yeah, it gives life to your scene, so it makes everything a bit more interesting. Right. So that's how to do that scene, and at the end of the day you should have something like this. Very, very cool. Now scene 4. This is also, I think this was one of the most interesting parts. It was one of my favorite scenes actually. It was pretty fun to make because it's a bit slow. Let me go. So okay, so how did I do this? Well, this one was a bit tricky, to be honest. I had to use a lot of stuff. So first I changed the background to I added another cylinder to make it to make the background better. The focus distance is still part, if you can see. I don't think you can see it. Let me. The focus distance is still working here because it really helps in making your scene better. But how did I make the actual animation? So first of all, okay, I did all this with an empty and an array modifier. So first things first, I made the object itself. I just joined the object. So see, first I was using an empty to move everything about, and I could move the other parts of the object like the cover and the actual product individually. But here I joined everything together to make it simple for me. So I made this one whole object, right? And after I did that, I went into the array modifier and added I went to the modifier type and then the array modifier. And if you can see, so here, if you look closely, this is only 1. The count is 1. So I animated the count as the products were rotated. So as it moves, then you see from here it goes to count 2, count 3, 4, 5. So that's why I added more. I did this because you see, I used an empty to animate the rotation, and with the empty, sometimes when you're using it, the objects can phase through each other. The empty might not be able to recognize that, okay, the objects are the objects shouldn't collide with each other, but sometimes they face to each other. So I didn't want that to appear in the scene, so I animated everything. I animated the counts individually so that it wouldn't face to each other and just bring that up. So I animated the empty to make the rotation. So to do this, I click this, right, and I used an object offset, and I made the empty my object offset, my object of reference, and I animated the empty. So if I move the, let me bring all this right now. If I move the empty, you can see everything moves, right? Everything moves. So I animated the empty to give me that effect. Please let me know if you want a tutorial for this particular kind of thing. I would be able to do that for you, but please let me know if you want that. Okay, so at the end of the day, with all that, I was able to get this. So I also animated the camera as well to make it move from one point to the other. Yeah, but apart from that, there was nothing else. Okay, so here I used the distance one. Here there was the focus was just right here, right, just over here, and I didn't want to add an empty, so I used the focus distance. So if I reduce it or increase it, it changes. So I just made it focus at this side, so I just let it be at 10 and let it be there, and it worked pretty well. And scene 5, this, I think, the first scene, right? Yes, this is the first scene. And how did I do this? Well, I used two things. First, so you can see the object is stationary, it doesn't move. The only thing that moves is the camera. So what I did was I added a circle. It's actually a curve, not a circle. So like a curve, you can do that by coming here to curve, circle. When I added that, I also added the camera, and I tracked the camera. I made the camera follow the path of the curve. So to do that, you just click the camera, go to where the camera, the object constraints is, and add the follow path. And as a target, the Bezier circle does this, and the offset is what controls where the camera is. So I animated the object offset. Right. Now, if you look closely, the camera, even though the camera moves, let me show you something. With just the follow path constraint, this is what happens. It just follows the curve, but it doesn't look at the object. So to correct that, I added a track to constraint. That's over here, track to, and I made that the target. I made the target the empty. That's the object, right? And with that enabled, the camera, if you can see from here, the camera looks at the object as it's moving along the curve. Now, to make this, you shouldn't. Sometimes it gets tricky. You have to make sure you create the curve and the camera, and you don't move them about. And like, as in, before you start, let's say you want to start a new one, right? So let's say, let me create a new scene. Right. Let's say you want to start a new one. You start by adding the curve, and then add the camera. So normally I just do it top view, because wherever I add, where the view that you add the camera will be where the camera will face. So I want everything to be perfect, so I just add it from here, so it faces downwards. Then to the constraint tab, drag to, then select the circle, and okay. Oh, sorry. Follow path and select the circle. Yeah. So you do this first, because if you don't do this first, and let's say you just keep doing other stuff, and you move the camera somewhere like here, and then now you now add the follow path yeah, it would cause problems like that. So it's not advisable to. So you just create everything and do it there rather than moving things about, because it will just mess everything up for you. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it for everything. I think I've covered everything right here. Yeah, so at the end of the day, you should be able to get that thing. So yeah, that's the whole project breakdown of everything. So yeah, I just added a tablecloth. So this one I had to use a cloth simulation. You can't see it here because I've already applied it. So to do this, I think, yeah, there's a cube under it. Cube, add plane. So I just added a plane with this, scaled it, added solidify, subdivision, all that. Okay, then this one I didn't add a solidify. So sometimes actually it's best to add a solidify sometimes because it makes, let me say, the computer understands the geometry better, because a plane is just like a plane, it's completely flat. So to make it act like a clock, sometimes it can pass through each other. You can create some artifacts in the clock that you might not want. Yeah, so yeah, that's basically. So yeah, I just added a cloth modifier. I have forgotten. Yeah, cloth, and good. So yeah, then just animated it. I can create a tutorial on that for you. I think I've done that in the previous one, so you can watch that to see how I did it in the one with the bottle. But if you want one particularly for this one, no problem. Yeah, so I think that's it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If you've stuck around, you've done really well. And if you like, I could also send the blend file for this if you'd want some scenes so that you could see how exactly I did everything. And yeah, thank you guys so much, and have a nice day. All right, bye.